funny how some games linger on your must-play list for years. You hear about them forever, you see references everywhere, and you think to yourself, yeah, I'll play that one day. For me, Final Fantasy Tactics was that game. Originally released in 1997 in Japan and 98 in North America, it really arrived at a time where the PlayStation 1 was redefining what RPGs could be. Very cinematic and deep and ambitious experiences, but yet somehow I never played that. Until right now. I had waited partly because of the long-running rumors about a remaster or a remake. I figured I'll be patient, but after giving up hope and deciding to buy the original PlayStation 1 copy of this game, the Ivalice Chronicles remaster was announced like the next day. I figured, look, I'll wait again, and this time I finally dove in with the Ivalice Chronicles. So coming into it for the first time, of course I'm going to have high expectations. Tactics has a reputation as one of the deepest and most intricate, maybe most memorable strategy RPGs ever made, with a story that has politics, betrayal, and morality in a very unique and interesting way. This remaster is a long time coming for a lot of fans, but for me, this was a mix of anticipation and curiosity. So for years of making content on YouTube, JRPG, Final Fantasy stuff, people have been asking me, have you played Final Fantasy Tactics? What do you think about Tactics? Or even in all my ranking videos, where's Ramza? Where's this? Where's that? So today I'm finally going to discuss my thoughts on Final Fantasy Tactics. Obviously I played the Ivalice Chronicles, but like I said, I bought this and then this got announced, so I waited to play this. So today we are going to spill all the tea and tell you guys my thoughts. But before we get to that, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment your thoughts down below. Do you like Final Fantasy Tactics? Are you playing this game for the first time? There's a lot to explore in today's video. I'm really looking forward to sharing my thoughts. So let's get started with the story in a non-spoilery kind of way, and then later in the video we'll talk some spoilers. So let's go. Final Fantasy Tactics is set in the world of Ivalice. It's a realm on the brink of chaos just after a period of peace after this 50-year war or something like that. So there's noble houses fighting for power, and ordinary people are getting caught in the crossfire. So at first glance, it seems like another medieval fantasy story, but yet the moment you step into the world, you notice how meticulously layered it is. Every village, every battlefield, and each conversation hints at like a larger system of politics and influence that actually feels believable. In Final Fantasy Tactics, we play as Ramza Beowulf, a young nobleman of the Beowulf family. Unlike many Final Fantasy protagonists, Ramza isn't like chosen by fate or tied to some cosmic prophecy. He's just trying to navigate a morally complex world while doing what he believes is right. His journey is about questioning loyalty and morality and the cost of integrity in a society that chooses class over anything else. The story unfolds a little bit gradually, letting you witness some of the political maneuverings, the betrayals, and the consequences of decisions both small and monumental. Class struggle and the abuse of power are really present, but the narrative here also has layers of mysticism with the auracite, which is something that I actually didn't see coming at all. The auracite is a mysterious substance which grows in significance over time. The early parts of the story are focused on political and social conflicts, while the later chapters hint at more dark supernatural forces that shape the events from behind the scenes. So even without spoilers, I can say this. The story is surprisingly grounded. You feel the tension in every scene, the weight of the choices the characters make, and the pervasive uncertainty of the world. It's not really flashy or bombastic. It's actually more so subtle and nuanced, and actually incredibly effective at drawing you in as the game unfolds. And the world itself, Ivalice, it has a certain presence to it. It's tense and dark, but there's a glimmer of hope, a sense that the choices you make as Ramza can actually change the course of events. That tension is part of what keeps the story so compelling, even when much of it is political maneuvering rather than grandiose battles. So before we get to the more spoiler-heavy parts of the story, let's talk about what actually makes playing Tactics so memorable, even now in 2025. At the heart of Final Fantasy Tactics is a grid-based tactical combat system that's going to reward careful planning and creative thinking. Every move matters here. Where you position your units, the order in which you act, the abilities you choose can all decide the outcome of each battle. The job system is arguably the star feature here. Building on ideas from Final Fantasy V, but within like a tactical framework, it becomes something extraordinary. You start off in basic roles like Squire or Chemist or Knight, but as you progress, you unlock lots more classes, each with unique abilities. What's truly brilliant here is the way that abilities can carry over. Having your character learn dual wielding as a ninja and then switching them over to a monk for devastating physical damage was pretty much my cheat code for this entire game. and honestly, it was really fun. Now, for characters, I approached this mostly through like story-driven choices, keeping core characters like Ramza, Agrias, Mustadio. Did a little bit of side stuff to get Cloud, of course, because I'm a Final Fantasy VII fanboy, and Orlando. That was my key team for the entire game, more or less. That said, the grind in Mandalia Plains was unavoidable. I spent hours refining skills, learning jobs, experimenting with combinations to overcome later challenges. The satisfaction of seeing that all pay off, executing a strategy that turns the tide in a brutal fight, it's unparalleled. So satisfying to finally overcome challenges in this game. And while the battles can be pretty hard, even on the easy difficulty, obviously the challenge is part of the appeal. Certain fights, like the encounters with the Lucavi demons, demand thoughtful preparation and flexibility. You cannot just brute force your way through, to a certain point. Once you have your characters leveled up pretty well, yes you can, but you need to understand, some of the enemy abilities. You need to fit your characters with certain charms and other things that can negate status effects. So there's a lot of preparation that comes into every single battle. I spent a lot of time in the menus just examining what's going to be the best way forward for the fights ahead of me. Now, the remaster here modernizes this experience quite well. You have the fast forward button, which really helps streamline battles for me. I would always fast forward in between turns so that way I could just hurry up and get to my turn. Even with the difficulty selection, I would say is a great balance, staying true to the original's challenge, but also making it more accessible for some modern audiences. But beyond the mechanics and the systems of the game, what makes tactics endlessly engaging is the reward loop. Grinding for jobs, getting new abilities, and experimenting with combinations is intrinsically satisfying. It's a game that makes you think, makes you plan, and then rewards that careful attention. And when your strategy works, when you finally outmaneuver that enemy that once seemed unbeatable, it feels so good. It's so rewarding. Now, before we talk any more tactics stuff, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because almost 90% of the people that watch my channel on the regular are not subscribed. So if you want to stay in tune with every video I release each week, I would love to have you. Otherwise, if you want more consistent content on the daily, you can follow my Instagram page where I'm posting lots of cool stuff. And it's a great and quick and unique way to interact with you guys as well. So more tactics right now. Visually, the remaster is honestly really beautiful. Ivalice's battlefields are presented in this isometric style, really feeling like miniature dioramas, giving you that sense of depth and personality. Narrow corridors, hidden corners, and multi-tiered terrain add both challenge, sometimes a little bit of frustration, and charm, making every battle feel unique. I love the character portraits, I love the animations of the characters, and the environments from the forests to the castles just really feel like parts of a believable world. And the remaster's voice work really elevates that story even further. Hearing Ramza question his ideals or Delita speak with quiet calculation brought honestly a really unique emotional realism that the original text boxes couldn't. And even the characters that came along with me for my journey, even bringing Cloud's voice actor from the remake trilogy was awesome. The performances here are perfectly in tune with the game's serious tone. And then there's the music. Hitoshi Sakamoto's score is obviously, it's not Uematsu's stuff, which is like sweeping orchestral melodies. Sakamoto compositions in this game are more militaristic. They're more somber, more atmospheric. Tracks like the battle themes, the menu jingles are just going to stick with you long after playing. Even now, I'm still hearing some of the character select things or place up to 5 people on the battlefield song. Like that's all just still playing in my head. It's still very fresh, and I'm thinking it's going to stick in my head for a long time. So of course the soundtrack doesn't just accompany the story, it really shapes the mood of every encounter. And all of these elements, the art, the sound, the voice, work together to make Tactics not just a strategy game, but actually a really immersive narrative experience. The world feels alive, and the tension of each battle is matched by the tension of the story itself. So we're going to discuss some spoilery stuff here. So if you haven't played Tactics, you can skip ahead to the time on the screen that you're seeing now to see my thoughts on what could come after this game. So the deeper layers of Final Fantasy Tactics reveal themselves through 2 central characters. You have Ramza and Delita. Ramza embodies integrity and idealism, navigating a world that rewards pragmatism and obviously being very smart and cunning. He's often isolated by his morals, branded a heretic throughout most of the game, forced to make difficult choices, and challenged both by nobility of his name, the nobility that surrounds him, and then the supernatural threats that arise later in the game. And Delita's journey runs parallel to Ramza's, often a unique or striking counterpoint. Driven by personal loss of his sister and a desire to protect those he loves, he becomes manipulative and willing to embrace morally gray actions to achieve his goals. So the contrast between these 2 paths is the heart of the narrative. While Ramza saves the world, he fades into obscurity. Deletus secures peace and restores the kingdom, but at what cost? The story also shifts from political intrigue to supernatural, with the Orosite and the Lucavi introducing stakes beyond human power struggles. This escalation changes the tone and the scale of the conflict, but the narrative really never loses focus on character, on motivations, on emotions, and the cost of decisions. And for me, what made this really impactful was actually the ambiguity of the endings. Deletus' fate is left to interpretation. I mean, you think he dies at the end, but maybe not. It really is consequence of his actions. And Ramza is erased from history, more or less. It's a mature, nuanced take on heroism and legacy, one that's going to resonate with you long after the game ends. It's not just about the big plot points here. Even the side characters, recruited units, and small story beats contribute to a world that feels lived in and coherent. So having played Final Fantasy Tactics now for the first time, it's impossible not to start imagining what could come next. The world feels really rich and layered. It's just begging for further exploration. One of the most intriguing possibilities would be a story set years after Ramza's journey, where consequences of actions, come back to challenge a new generation. Imagine someone discovering the truth about the Orosite and the way that the nobility pulled the strings from behind the scenes. Maybe they embark on a quest for revenge against the legacy of the heroes and villains alike, or something like that. Or the political intrigue and morally gray world that made the original so compelling could easily provide fertile ground for a sequel, or even a series of smaller stories that could explore different corners of Ivalice around that time, or some of the supporting characters. Another avenue could be like a prequel, exploring the origins of the Orosite and Saint Ajora, delving into the events that set the stage for the conflicts of Tactics. Understanding how these mystical forces came to shape the kingdom and the power struggles they fueled, I think might give a lot of players some deep appreciation for how intricate the story actually is. And it could also provide an opportunity to see Ramza's world from a different perspective. Obviously, the lives of ordinary people that live in this world, those manipulated by nobility, or even the followers of Saint Ajora, adding a lot of extra context and nuance to the original's events. And mechanically, a future Tactics installment could retain the classic job system that makes the gameplay so flexible, and perhaps introducing some modern stuff as well. I can only guess what they would do, maybe some new jobs or something like that, but the sky's the limit for what could be added to ideally preserve that identity while offering new ways to engage with this world. And finally, the remaster is now setting the stage for renewed interest in this universe. Of course, I've been wanting to play this forever, and I'm so excited to play it, but now I'm finding myself wanting more. Seeing the characters, the maps, and the story brought to life in such a way with vivid detail can remind you that Ivalice isn't just a setting, it's a living, breathing world that I think would deserve more stories. So for fans old and new like myself, the future of Final Fantasy Tactics is full of potential. And personally, after this first playthrough, I am excited to see where Square Enix might take this next. So finally playing Final Fantasy Tactics was a long time coming, but I gotta say it was worth mostly every moment. Even now, decades after its original release, I would say this game holds up pretty well. The combination of political intrigue, the gameplay, the presentation, and now with some really great performances with voice acting makes it a benchmark in the genre. That's not without flaws though, believe me. Difficulty spikes can be really frustrating. Certain maps can require a lot of patience to navigate, but I guess these challenges are part of what makes victory so rewarding. It really is a game that encourages thought and planning and creativity, and it never lets you get complacent with your choices. So looking back, I can see this game, and why it has so many successors and spiritual echoes in the genre. The systems, the narrative ambition, and the presentation, at least for that original release, was pretty ahead of its time. And the remaster is now ensuring a new generation of players can experience this with the polish that it deserved, and it looks gorgeous. So for somebody like me, experiencing Tactics for the first time was a wonderful time. The story, the strategy, the world of Ivalice, it all comes together to create something that's more than the sum of its parts. And look, to be completely honest, it wasn't one of those life-changing, exactly how everybody hyped kind of experiences for me. It did earn my respect and curiosity, and I did enjoy my time with it, but it just didn't blow me away like I thought it was going to. And that's okay. I still had fun. Battle system was fun. Characters were great. I would love to see more. So I'm already thinking about a second playthrough later on with different jobs and different tactics, and perhaps even trying to complete the game without Orlando. He was pretty much a cheat code for the latter half of the game. There's still so much to uncover in this game as well, and honestly, that's the beauty of a strategy RPG built with depth and care. So that's my thoughts on Final Fantasy Tactics. I think it was a really great experience. I had fun. And like I said, I would be interested to see more from Square. So Square Enix or anybody at Square Enix, if you're watching this, I give a thumbs up for more stuff, especially in this world, because there's so much that could be told if you wanted to pile on to the existing universe here, or you could do a Tactics 2 set in a different world, whatever. I'm just so interested in what could be next. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed my take on that. If you want to stay in touch for next week's video, which is going to be re-ranking everything, so all of my ranking videos, gameplay, stories, heroes, music, I'm going to be doing all those again, but taking into consideration Final Fantasy Tactics. So we're going to be changing some things around, so look forward to that. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and blah, blah, blah. I'll stop talking now. Bye-bye. We'll see you on the next video next week.